Hello there, this is Jimmy.
And this is Mark.
And this is the audio commentary for Near Dark, 1987, directed by Kathryn Bigelow. And one of my absolute favourite films ever. This is one of the best things ever. I love Near Dark, absolutely love it.
I'm glad to say it's a good film.
It's a good film, he likes it, yes. So, starting off with Mosquito and Smack Dead. Obviously, vampire parallel there, mosquitoes drink blood. We're kind of getting on the idea that, the vampire in this film is more of an animal rather than, the more supernatural, ghostly type thing. It's a very, straightforward process of just drinking blood, boom, boom, boom. This is a film that really pares down the whole vampire mythology, strips it of the crucifixes, of the garlic, even fangs, even the word vampire. You don't hear that in this film at all. I have to quickly say, though, that as much as there's the whole no fangs theory in this film, I am convinced you do see him in one shot, and I will point out that shot later on. So, yeah. Yeah,
it is interesting about this film. I mean, it's become sort of a vogue for some people to make vampire movies, but never use the V word. Which is a shame, because I think if you consciously go to that point, you sort of create an emptiness in your film, whereas here I think it's stylistically, it makes sense. Vampires are never mentioned because there's no tip of hat to any sort of supernatural here. It's just a strange, odd thing that's happening. So I like what she's done here, Kathryn Bigelow. I think she's made it logical to never actually reach that point. There's always that depressing moment in 95% of horror movies where you just want someone to say, hang on, that's a zombie, because surely they've seen zombie movies before. Yeah. In this, you get the impression that Caleb just wouldn't think that way.
No.
It would never occur to him.
It doesn't get bogged down in all of that, in the whole explanatory scenes. I think this film, it does assume you've watched vampire films, and it assumes you know what a vampire is. So, in other words, it's not wasting your time with all of this, like, I don't believe in vampires, what is a vampire, what do they do? That's not important right now. So here we go, this is Caleb, played by Adrian Pasdar. He was in Top Gun before this, and Solar Warriors, Solar Babies, but let's not talk about that. And he ended up being Nathan Petrelli on Heroes, of course. This is a lead role. I don't think he really had, this was his sort of biggest turn, I suppose, but, he wasn't really a big star after this. But I really love him in this film. And that's Jenny Wright, who's May.
Oh, and isn't she just lovely?
Lovely Jenny Wright, yeah, she's lovely, isn't she? Exactly, and you can see why Caleb's going for this, to be honest. And again, this film's really just kicking off immediately. It's a very tight screenplay. We've got, this is an hour and a half film. On the DVD of this, the original 2002, I think, Anchor Bay DVD, you got the screenplay as a PDF. You could download it and read it. And reading it, that's still, it's tight, but it's not. It could be tighter, and they really just pare it down even from that screenplay. And what we've got here is just a real lean film, and it's beautiful.
But never sparse, never shortchanging you. You never feel like there are edges that you should be looking at. I think what's there is lean, but it fills the screen.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
There's no element where you sit there and think, I really wish I knew more about this world.
No. You can fill in the gaps yourself if you like. I mean, but it's not a frustrating fill in the gaps. It's like, if you want to, you can make up backstories. There's hints of it there. The whole idea that Jesse was in Civil War and all that. And, how old are the vampires, And in the making of documentary that's on the DVD, they sort of post their own theories as well. It's all part of the fun, really, but the film itself isn't sort of lacking in that respect.
No, indeed. No. I mean, even down to, on the side, as we'll find out later, Caleb lives with his father and his sister. There's no mother figure, and it's never mentioned or alluded to. But you never feel that you've been shortened in that respect. His journey and the central pairing in the film are so strong, and the characters around it feed into that so much. You never feel like you're being, as you say, shortchanged on anything.
No, absolutely. And I have to say, this is one of the best looking films I've ever seen in terms of films that are set at night. The photography in this is just gorgeous. It was filmed by Adam Greenberg, who did The Terminator, which again is another film that sort of uses a lot of night photography. I think this is like a step up from that, to be honest. I mean, there's some of this stuff in here is beautiful. I mean, it's just, night scenes are quite difficult because, well, it's dark. It's dark, exactly. Yeah, and you feel like you can't see what's going on, and the way it's done, you feel like the night is three-dimensional in this. You really feel like there's a depth to the scenes.
Yes, she gets. I mean, this is obviously set Midwestern, and the open expanses, and even though it is shot at night, it gives the impression of those expanses, even in tight scenes like this.
Yeah. Actually, this was filmed on a stage, apparently. This is what Bigelow says on the commentary, and I'd never have guessed that. Never have guessed it.
No, I must admit, I would have always looked at all of this and said, this is open. This
open.
It gives that feeling of that sort of dust bowl, wide expanses. And as you said, it's very difficult to put into night filming because you don't have the visual references. You have to feel the atmosphere much more.
Absolutely, yeah. And I think that a lot of the the lighting and the mood, the music. I mean, we talk about Tangerine Dream's music in this film, which is some of it's dated a little bit, but it's one of my favourite film scores. Absolutely. And I wish they would release the full soundtrack on CD. They haven't. The soundtrack that's on at the moment, I think they just literally reissued it a couple of weeks ago on CD. It's still the same old, very short version of the soundtrack. Lots of missing cues, lots of cues that aren't in the film that are on the soundtrack and are bloody awful. And please just release a proper version of this. Don't make me resort to illegal downloading and bootlegging, please. All right, so
well, I mean, it's unintrusive, this soundtrack, which is nice. I mean, it's very easy, especially in scenes like this, to overplay it, to ramp it up, to try and batter the audience into feeling something. There is, obviously, because of the time we're living, there is an illusion. You can draw the comparison with Twilight. I mean, in terms of having a central relationship between one young person who's a vampire, one young person who isn't, and I found them very intrusive. I mean, they're aimed very much at a teenage girl audience, but the music is very intrusive and over the top, and this is exactly what you're supposed to be feeling at this moment.
Yeah,
and I think this has the confidence to let you go along with it.
I mean, we're not going to, go on a sort of anti-Twilight tirade in this film. We're not going to about how Near Dark is the real deal and Twilight is, wet and rubbish. I don't mind Twilight. I think it's fine. It's fine. It's not for me though. It's sort of, this is for me. This is the real deal in terms of vampires. I'm not going to go on about it's bloody none of these vampires sparkle. That means they're really good. But to be honest, Twilight's its own thing. Near Dark its own thing. Near Dark's much better. That's all I'll say. And we will go on to the whole Near Dark versus Lost Boys debate, which is unavoidable. They more or less came out at the same time.
Well, yes, I think Lost Boys came out 3 months before.
Yeah. I think in the UK it came out more or less the same month. But in America there was a bit of a gap. But it was Lost Boys before Near Dark. Yeah?
Yes, it was. Yeah. And Lost Boys was very successful, $30 million, whereas Near Dark, I mean, for such a small budget of $5 million for this sort of film, it's a shame that it wasn't a success.
No.
I mean,
only about 3 million.
I think 3.5 million.
Yeah, that's nothing. Which is Bigelow saying on the commentary that independent films don't have the same sort of exposure and sort of niche that they do these days. I mean, independent films can make a lot of money. Back then, if you're an indie film, a good chance you're just going to get forgotten about. And this was the last film released by, was it De Laurentiis film studios, so they were on the way out. They weren't promoting the film, they couldn't be bothered. Some of the promotional material was a bit bizarre. I mean, the American poster is a really gory one shot of Bill Paxton covered in gore, and even though the film is gory, I think that poster really does misrepresent it. The English poster is one of my favourite posters ever. It's the one where sort of, I think it's Caleb, or it might be Severin, they're sort of in the dark and they're being
pelted by
sunlight.
Yes,
it's such a brilliant poster. I mean, I've got it somewhere. I've got it. I bought it on eBay years ago. I love it.
Well,
it's so much more appropriate for the film, and the trailers that were made for the film. There's two trailers. We watched them earlier in the build-up to this film. One's pretty good, but more emphasises it as more like a full-on horror, which is good but not really it. And then the other one is like this awful sort of music video one,
it's which very much over the top.
Yeah, it's one of the songs on the during the bar scene called "Naughty Naughty," which is by John Parr. St Elmo's Fire and all that. It's just a terrible trailer. It just doesn't work at all. So I think this is just a film that really got unfortunately just badly marketed, and it's because it's the darker element. It's not as commercial as the Lost Boys. The cast aren't as sort of MTV friendly and all that. It doesn't have the big, blockbuster soundtrack. It's not a Warner Brothers film. It's just.
Although interestingly, I mean, obviously it's a small thing, but considering he'd just come off the success of Aliens and half the cast were in it, and obviously Bigelow and James Cameron were involved at this time, you'd imagine that there might have been a bit more element here that they could have milked on this.
Yeah, but they didn't really, did they?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose it really depends. I mean,
this shot coming up is brilliant. I just love this one. Oh, she looks so spooky there. I love it. I love these sort of what do you call it? Dawn? Yeah, not dusk. It's dawn, isn't it? The lighting here is so beautiful, and I have to say, this is without a doubt the best kiss in cinema history. I think it is. I think it's brilliant. This is so spooky. And it's really seductive.
That's very bold. I feel like I should challenge you on that.
I love the way it's shot. I think it's brilliant. I was thinking about this, and I do actually rate this.
You've caught me out there. I feel like I should have a retort for you, but I'm going to have to think about it. Yeah. It's definitely it definitely gets into the idea, isn't it? I mean, she is so alluring here. She's not walking around dressed as if she's touting for business. You can very much see why he's interested in her.
Loving it. We know what's going to happen. We know what's going to happen. And this is it. There's no word of vampires, but she bites him on the neck. That's obviously like the main vampire hook, isn't it? It's a very postmodern film, I think. You know what I mean? It is.
Yes.
If you have a knowledge of vampire films, you're going to get a lot out of this. But then some people have that knowledge of vampire films and they don't like this film because it doesn't adopt all of those, the cliches not cliche sounds brutal. The standards of.
Well, I mean, I can draw a parallel. Being someone who's a massive zombie film fan, and sometimes I find myself doing this as well. There is real arguments between people who like running zombies, people who don't. Why don't people turn when they're bitten? Why do some people die? So even though obviously we're dealing with something that doesn't exist, it comes with its own baggage.
Yeah.
So a lot of people will look at a vampire and say, that's not a vampire, that is.
But what is a vampire? We've got nothing to base it on. It's like, it's a fictional character, It's a fictional entity. You can't say, these aren't real vampires, they're real vampires.
Exactly.
It's all imaginary. Every person brings they bring their own cards to the table. And who's to say this isn't a real vampire film? But something like Dracula is, and the other way around. Absolutely.
Yes.
I will say, I think this is the best vampire film ever made. I think it is, absolutely. I mean, I love the Lost Boys. The whole Near Dark Lost Boys debate. What's the better one? Honestly, when we do our commentary for the Lost Boys, I'm going to be gushing over that film because I love the Lost Boys. But it's more of a guilty pleasure film.
Yes.
And I think it's great, but this is the stronger film. I mean, when it comes down to it, this is the stronger film.
This is the stronger film.
Yeah.
Now, I have to say, I love this scene here. I'm sure I remember on the commentary they say that the smoking effect they got here was by putting little pouches of tobacco inside the jacket.
That's right.
And then lighting it, not so that it ultimately burned, but just so it smoked a lot. And it's a wonderful effect because it's so simply done. Adding also where he's kicking up the dust as he's walking. It's a beautiful, beautiful
I think
shot.
they really play the whole sunlight element in this film. It's like the daylight is a kind of a given in vampire films. It's like it doesn't really play a part in the action until they want it to at the end. Whereas here, that whole part because they've stripped down the vampire stuff to such a basics, they really have to emphasise the sunlight. To make us realise they're vampires.
There's also a feel here that the daylight is something to fear here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we're dealing with characters who can be killed by it and who are mortally afraid of it.
Yeah.
Daylight takes on a more sinister element here, especially as we've got an innocent here.
Yeah.
I mean, there's been, he hasn't had to kill anyone. None of this. Your first
they can't
kill or anything. He is now infected.
Yeah.
I suppose this is where
there's no bullshit. I mean, it's like this whole thing. Like in the Lost Boys, for example, they do that. It's like you're not really a vampire until you make your first kill, and it's like if you have made your first kill, then you can't be turned back to normal. Here, you're a vampire. Boom, you're a vampire. I mean, the whole first kill element in this is not to do with making that final transition to being a. It's more a social element. It's more an induction or an initiation. I'm always interested about the symbolism of his hat falling off there. I don't know if that means anything. Does it mean that, say goodbye to your Western, you know what I mean? We're talking we're in the horrors now, yeah. But, here we go. This is coming up. This is brilliant. This is possibly... He's in my top 3 vampires ever. He is absolutely love Bill Paxton.
Well,
He's absolutely brilliant. Yeah, so no, he is absolutely brilliant. I love this guy. That's Bill Paxton, obviously, and... then you've got Lance Henriksen in the background there, Jeanette Goldstein there, and these guys. These guys are just the best, man. Absolutely.
Well, it's amazing, isn't it? Because for such a Western iconography, they're clearly not. I mean, there's sort of a punk aesthetic with them. They're definitely outsiders, which I really like. That I like that they have a feel of coming from nowhere and no place. There's also, I mean, there's the element that the implication is that the vampirism in this is sort of almost like a sexually transmitted disease, or very much with the blood infection.
Very easy, a lot of 80s films. A lot of it was, the AIDS parallel and all that, And
I think the fact that they look dishevelled, the leather jacket, the long hair. There is this implication that could they be perhaps? Is it a junkie aesthetic?
I think so. No, I think there's a drug parallel. In this film.
Are they very much those groups? It's hard to remember now for those who are younger. But when the AIDS virus particularly first came along, governments were putting out information saying this only affects certain groups of people. And there does seem to be... I'm not suggesting that Kathryn Bigelow is stereotyping groups. I think she's playing to something that an audience would have recognised.
Yep.
It is interesting, and again, I think she gets this sort of influence from James Cameron, that there is a family element here. There is the mother, the father, Homer as the sort of the child who's trapped.
Severin's like the uncle, isn't he?
And Severin is the uncle. Is he the older brother? Is that sort of element?
Yeah.
It's a very interesting idea, and it does make you wonder: is there another element here? Caleb's desperate to leave, to grow up. Is part of this actually that he's at that age where perhaps he's not going to stay on the farm, perhaps he's not going to do what his father does, and this is his first sort of walking out into the world.
Yeah.
And he finds the world is frightening. It's definitely, it's almost a fairy tale in that respect. It's got that sort of fable-esque idea.
Yeah, it's also weird that this. I think some people are sort of talking about, that the vampire family are kind of like your typical nuclear family, as you say, but then the family at home are kind of broken home in a way. The mother's not there. You know what I mean?
Yes.
It's like, that some people have read that Caleb's sort of rejection of the vampire family is the rejection of sort of conservative, family modes, in other words. You know what I mean? He's actually saying, this nuclear family, it might be, in terms of volume and number, it's accurate. You have a mum, a dad, an uncle, a son, a daughter, but it's wrong. It's messed up. You know what I mean? It's actually the wrong family. I don't know what to make of that, to be honest. But but it was an interesting theory.
Well, I've always thought that you can also read it the other way. That although they may be the nuclear family, they're in no way traditional. Whereas once you just accept that mum isn't there, everything's pretty standard about dad and his sister at home. And obviously you could argue that in fact his rejection of the vampire family is his desire to not go out there, to pull back, to stay. Home is where the heart is. To not put himself out there. I mean, again, like you said, it's hard to know what to make of that. And to be honest, I think sometimes it's easy to project too much of what.
Absolutely,
you think.
I mean, the fact is that this film's got to end with the happy ending. It's got to end with because I think one of the Near Dark the Lost Boys have got it both down really well. Is that you're so seduced by the bad element of it in this first half, and then something's got to happen. Something's got to make you realise that these are actually killers, and you've got to edge your way more towards the light. And at the end, all the you can revel in the temptation of evil for a good bit of the film, and then everything's got to be normal by the end. I mean, it could have ended a different way. It could have ended with him staying with the vampires, becoming a killer.
Yes.
Would we have liked him so much then? I mean, would a film have had the nerve to actually do that? I mean, the film is tracked by its sort of the whole structure. Really, it's got to end happy. Bad has to be overcome. But I think even in the commentary, she's clearly Bigelow's sort of rooting with the vampires a little bit as well. I think we all are to some respect. I mean, they're really likeable, even though they kill innocents. I mean, they are a really seductive bunch of people.
Well, I mean, they're outsiders, and I think there's always something attractive about that idea. Because it makes us. It's outside of what we ourselves, what we experience and what we live. So we always want to look at that dark side.
Yeah, absolutely. This film's a safe way of doing that, isn't it? I mean, and I mean, when I was younger, I loved these guys. I was really, I thought it was very alluring, to be honest.
Well, also, I mean, obviously it becomes a problem when he doesn't live up to what they want him to do. But ultimately, as bad as they are and as much pressure as they put on him, they are offering him part of their family. He is coming in. They may not have necessarily have wanted him to start with,
forced upon him in a way.
but they are willing to accept him. It's, you know, all he has to do is prove that he's worthy of getting in, and then he can join them. So I mean, it's not as if from the start they're saying there's no way you can ever be one of us, you're not good enough for us.
No.
They may not have necessarily, picked him to join them, but he's welcome to stay if he makes the grade. Yeah.
If he doesn't, he screws it up. He's a terrible killer.
And you wonder if the other way round, you can't imagine society would ever even try to accept them.
Absolutely not. Yeah, absolutely. That's true. Yeah, absolutely. They wouldn't accept him. So we've sort of talked about a lot of the themes here, and sort of, we've maybe missed a few things that were happening on screen. I mean, the whole thing with the fire, by the way, when they burned the Winnebago, according to my Near Dark trivia book, this is Severin mentions that this is a fire. Remember that fire we started in Chicago? Most likely reference to the great 1871 blaze that left over 100,000 people homeless and levelled the business district of that Midwestern city. So the idea is that the vampires were directly responsible for tragedy in real life. Aliens showing on in the background there. That's a little dig at, reference to Henriksen, Paxton and Goldstein, who played the Marines in those films.
No, I love this scene because this is the real painting on the drug allegory here.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I feel so sorry for him.
Yeah, this is interesting because there aren't many films. Sometimes films show the transformation from human to werewolf or human to vampire, or anything like that, as painful, but don't spend time with it. And I think here they do. They take the time to show, look, as fun as it may become, and all that he's going to gain and whatever, he has got to go through something here.
Yeah.
This is not nice.
This is definitely, it's a film of highs and lows, I'd say. Caleb's character does jump from being ecstatic and in love to being like paranoid and in horror, in some of these early scenes. I mean, some people have sort of criticised that. They say, Caleb's quite annoying in the first half of the movie because he's like, oh, I love you, May, I love you, oh, I want to go home, and all that, but I really like it. I mean, I think he does get this sort of high off the blood, and then he comes down really bad because he misses his family, and it's a lot to take in. He's basically being told he's meant to be a killer. I really feel sorry for Caleb's little whimper there. I really feel sorry for him. But you also got to think of it from the viewpoint of the guy behind the counter, and he really does look dishevelled.
He looks terrible.
Really rough, doesn't he? Yeah.
I mean, this scene here I find very, very odd. We're about to meet a character who offers to help Caleb out.
Yeah.
And there's something, I don't know, there's something sinister about the way this guy sort of offers to help him. I always liked this.
What, the eating of the chocolate?
Yeah, the instant...
Yeah, it's weird because May's seen eating an ice cream at the start, and so obviously you're thinking, well, how come she can eat ice cream, so he can't eat chocolate? The idea may be that she wasn't really eating the ice cream, she was just using that as a little sort of bit of seduction.
I think so.
Or maybe that, her palate has become more refined in her old years and such and such. That guy, he's in loads of films, isn't he, this guy? He's in Demolition Man, isn't he? He's the...
yes.
He's one of the cops. He's a cop in this as well, yeah.
I remember him in things like he's got a very small scene in The Secret of My Success.
Oh, has he?
Yeah. I think he's the guy who refuses to give Michael J. Fox a job because he has no experience. And shrugs his shoulders when Michael J. Fox points out, how can I get experience if I don't have a job?
That's right. Oh, yeah. Oh, I love this. I love the way he just sort of... that's good. Again, we're not being told he's a vampire. We're not being told that vampires drink blood. You know what I mean? It's all... You forget how a lot of it is left for us to meet it halfway, and that's what I love. It is a film for horror fans, I think, and that, But anyway, it's a sort of a crossover because it's not bogged down in all of the symbols and the cliches and all that. It's also it could be a vampire film for people who don't like vampire films. I think it's got a lot of a lot of people could potentially love this film. It's just it's a cult film. It's sort of underground and all that. I know people who don't like this film. I think people don't like it. They say there's too many close-ups. It looks like a TV movie. They don't like the music. They hate the Tangerine Dream music because, actually this might be a good point to talk about Tangerine Dream. Their music, they were like a huge, hugely influential sort of cosmic electronic band in the 70s, part of the whole, hate to use the term, but that's what it was called, krautrock thing in the 70s with like Can and Neu and Kraftwerk and stuff like that. And Tangerine Dreams were like probably they were really electronic, really epic. They did like sidelong tracks and very influential back in the days. If you want a good starting point, try the albums Phaedra and Rubicon. They are mint albums. They're really good. Quickly, his shadow looks like a dog or a wolf there at some point.
Yes,
that really plays the whole animal element of it.
I always wonder, have they just slightly augmented it? I don't think they have.
I don't think they have. I think that's just like, it could almost be a fluke, isn't it? They've re-watched it and gone, oh my god, that looks fantastic. Tangerine Dream, they're really big in the in the 70s, even quite successful, even though very experimental. And in the 80s, they sort of moved from big epic pieces to a lot of soundtrack work. Some of their soundtracks are really worth hunting out. The Keep soundtrack to the Michael Mann film.
Yes, indeed.
Unbelievably good soundtrack. And Sorcerer as well, William Friedkin film. That's a great starting point for anyone interested in Tangerine Dream, because it's kind of got the old style electronics, but it's all in sort of handy bit, 6-7 minute pieces rather than 20 minutes. Some of the sounds in this film are they're the only things that obviously date the movie.
Yes.
But a lot of the soundtrack stuff here is really beautiful and really good. And here we go. This is the obvious sort of it's obviously vampire scene to date in the film.
This is an interesting scene because obviously at this point his interest in her is obviously a sexual desire. And they're painted as potential star-crossed lovers from literally two different worlds in that
she's
respect.
Providing the life source.
Now she's almost weaning him. There's almost like a surrogate mother element here. He's a vampire child. I mean, he's been very anti it. He's hurt, but now this is very much the drug allegory here, because he is greedy. We see the animalistic side here. There's also some people suggest that this is pretty much close to a sex scene.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's the thing. Vampires don't usually have sex in films. They don't. Some of them, sometimes they do, but a lot of it. This is the sex. This is the replacement.
Well, it's usually, especially when you have the fangs. The obvious is the penetration of the fangs into the neck, the spilling of blood.
Now look, he's high as a kite now. He loves it. He was like a white old state earlier, and this is it. I think that with the drug sort of it makes you oblivious to everything else, and even though there's a scene later on that's really obvious when he's sort of being coerced into killing a truck driver, and he doesn't want to do it. He absolutely doesn't want to do it, and he doesn't. May kills him, and then he drinks her blood, and then he's happy as Larry at the end. You know what I mean? He don't care about this murder that's just happened because he's so buzzed by this drug.
Yeah, I mean, it's also working on the sort of the instant high idea. I mean, we get to ride the lows with him, but he is euphoric almost instantly when he kills. So
we had a deleted scene just then, just early on in the film there, which was one that Bigelow cut out the film, where just after that bit where it says the night is so bright it will blind you, we sort of see them, wandering around in the desert, and we see it through like their night vision, which is sort of this kind of black and white vision where the night is completely clear, and it's a really gorgeous scene.
Sort of monochrome then.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
It's really beautiful, and it got cut out. I mean, I don't know if it would have fit in with the rest of the film. Well, obviously visually it would have been completely different, but because Near Dark's such a perfect little film, any sort of additional scene would seem like a rupture. But I think it would have worked. It's really nice. A lovely scene between the two of them, and this. Again, this Near Dark, even though it's a really violent film and it's a brutal film, it's quite a dreamy film, and quite romantic film in places. And I think that scene really would have played up the whole seductive, dreamy element of the vampire myth. Whereas, which is something that's going to get abandoned. Very soon. We're going to sort of see the dark side of the vampires very quickly.
I think, although it's not quite as lyrical, there's a little element of stuff like Badlands in this. Certainly in its palette and its ideas.
Yeah, I think it's close to that. Yeah, absolutely.
And there's sort of a parallel in the terms of they are just wandering criminals, if you like.
Nomads.
They're very much on the fringe of society. I mean, there is obviously some people who have made the point, obviously they're killing people, but if they are, if not necessarily referred to as vampires, then not entirely human. Some have argued that there's less of an element of them murdering people so much as just getting by.
I believe that up until the bar scene, when they're clearly just being bastards for kicks.
There is
this next scene, where May sort of says don't think of it as killing, don't think of, he's just surviving, basically. I mean, you're just living on instinct, and you are eating. You're just like you're the wolves in the wild. But then later on, you wonder whether these are just a bunch of sick puppies, man. Because they really are mean. I mean, Homer kills the guy just to kill him, shoots him. Yeah. We haven't talked about Homer much, actually. We will talk about it a bit later on in the film. He's like the one potential weak spot in the film, mainly because he's such an annoying little brat. You know what I mean? And here we go. Caleb is down again. He's not good. He was really high as a kite about 2 minutes ago,
and it's dropped quickly. I mean, we're calling it a drug allegory. I think we can basically say it is about drugs. I think there's no allegory.
Yeah. Whether she's like intentionally wrote as a drug film and then put vampire stuff around, I don't think she did it that blatantly. But she just obviously thought, she took this to the idea of clearly this clearly sounds and feels like drugs. Let's go along with it. Kathryn Bigelow, I'm not telling you how you wrote your film, you know what I mean? But that's how we think it is. By the way, this film was co-wrote with a guy named Eric Red, who wrote The Hitcher, which is another one of my favourite films from the 80s. Quite similar in terms of atmosphere, the whole idea of predators on the open highways, stalking their prey. I mean, this is a better film than The Hitcher. I do think it is. The Hitcher's amazing, but this definitely goes one step.
It's a very American thing, isn't it? Those wide open vistas and the idea that you could drive for miles and not see anyone. And so you can have these subgroups. I mean, it's a slightly different thing, but The Hills Have Eyes taps into it.
Absolutely,
It's a very smart sort of use of the American landscape to create a unique subgenre.
I have to say, I love the way he says, "What do we do?" And she says, "Anything we want until the end of time." And it's like, yeah, I'm with you. You can be really, it's a real. Sometimes the vampire films take it as a given, the whole seductive element of it, but this film sort of sets it out and just says, we can do whatever we want. But this scared me when I was younger. This bit. I like the fact you don't really see a lot of the murders in this film. I think if you did, I think they'd lose a lot of their impact. You know what I mean? This scene here, this is hilarious. I mean, this is Bill Paxton is God. I'm sorry, he's brilliant. I love him in this film. This is probably this could be his definitive performance apart from Aliens. You know what I mean? This and Severin and Hudson are the characters here. And the thing is, this is so creepy. The way there's the obvious pun in that I'd like to invite you ladies out for a drink. But the fact that you don't see what happens to them, I think it's scarier. I think it is scary. I think if we'd have seen it...
there's also the interesting thing is it's never quite explained why someone becomes a vampire as opposed to just someone who's you've drained and killed.
Yeah.
So there is this implication that what are they doing to them to make sure they don't come back?
Yeah.
So as you say...
sort of play on that, don't they? Like, I know... Innocent Blood, the John Landis film.
You have to remove their head.
She blows their head off, doesn't she? And they make sure they don't come back.
Well, I think 30 Days of Night does the same sort of thing. I think they remove the heads. They make a point of saying you have to almost destroy the person.
Yeah. I think here it's just a case of if you bite them, they're turned.
Yeah.
If you drain them of blood, they ain't coming back. They're dead, more or less, And I love these little intimate scenes here. This is where this film's got the definite edge over The Lost Boys, because with The Lost Boys you had, the David character, Kiefer Sutherland, who's a great character, really. But I think the character's great mostly because of the performance and what Kiefer Sutherland brings to it. There's not much underneath the surface there. He doesn't actually do a lot. And the other three Lost Boys, forget about it, they're complete blanks.
Well, I think also they aching to be cool.
Hey, it's Seth Green, man. Look, it really looks like him. It really looks like him. Sorry, go on.
This is another one of those scenes I love.
Get out
so much fun. No, I was just saying that
smile.
They're desperately trying to be cool, the characters in The Lost Boys, whereas here you get the impression that the characters are just comfortable with what they are.
Yeah, and you get to spend time with them. Those little moments where it's like, remember that time when you had the flat tire and all that. And again, this whole thing, there's a real element here of vampires ripping off people's faces in this film. And I think if we'd have seen it, it would have looked bad. It would have just looked stupid. The fact that he is going to do that, he's going to rip off that guy's face, and we don't see it, I think it's scary. Now, when Lance Henriksen turned on the stereo there, we heard a little sort of bit of guitar. Right, that is Tangerine Dream, and it is on the soundtrack, and it's the bloody worst thing that Tangerine Dream have ever done. And this is what I don't get, is that why a piece of music that's in the film for 1 second is on the 10-track CD compilation of the music from Near Dark, and yet the main theme from the start isn't on it. A lot of the themes when they're driving on the road aren't on it. Why not have those on the soundtrack, and you have that bloody awful piece of music which is called good times. That's what it's called.
What was
Track
it?
5.
Was it poppy or commercial? I mean,
Kind of commercial, but it's still a piece. It's still instrumental. I mean, it's crap. I hate it. It's the worst thing they've ever done. Yeah. So here we've got some. This is a great scene. I love it. I just love. When I watch this film, I'm always taking it in turns to look at either Caleb or May, and it's the acting between both of them is brilliant because she is sort of like, don't know, do it now sort of thing.
It's all looks
and he's sort of pained, and she's sort of the little smirk she does, and the little little really impatient sort of glowers that she does. But all this time, we're also getting very important plot information. This stuff here about making sure that you break the break the cab, break the trailer before you break the cab. Because if you don't do it, it will blow up your jackknife. This is very important. Never leak, no extraneous information. But I love it. The night photography is so beautiful.
I like here also. Sorry to interrupt you. That it's like we're seeing one scene, but it's played in two different ways. So you've got the interplay between May and Caleb, and then you've got the driver here who's clearly not aware of what they're doing at all.
Yeah.
He's completely in a different space, which I think adds to the sinister element of it. As he starts to sort of notice here that Caleb doesn't look well, you sort of feel for him because it would be very easy for him to kick them out, to get angry. This is a genuinely nice guy. He's
I used to really be disturbed by this sequence.
And this is probably the only point in the film where I actually didn't quite like May. I mean, it's obvious what Caleb is doing here, but this is, I think, her most ruthless.
She's evil in this scene.
She is the functioning addict, where he is the pained addict.
Yeah.
He's reached the point where he needs to do it but can't.
Yeah.
That's it. This is what she needs. This is what she wants. She's going to do it.
Yeah.
And I sort of really feel for this guy because he's just genuinely trying to help.
He's really oh, bless him. He's really sweet. I love Jenny Wright's performance here. I just it's just the little mannerisms and just the little way she just moves and just
the hint of the smile there. Yeah.
Oh, she's evil. Yeah, she's evil. But she's not evil. She is what she is. You know what I mean?
Well, you get the impression there's an element of being jaded as well.
A little bit, yeah. Now there's this whole thing here in the background where we've got all these sort of moving mechanics. I've heard that this represents the blood flow. There's also a sexual element there, the moving of the machinery and all that, But
again, it's interesting that it cuts straight from her. It cuts straight from her biting this guy to this scene. Some people pointed out the fact that there's a lightning storm or seems to be going on in the background emphasises the change with him. This is the turbulent moment.
Oh, he's high again. He's high again.
His smile here. That this is actually the moment where he starts to think, you know what, I actually really want to be part of this.
Yeah. And she's saying, you could kill me. And he don't care. Oh, I love it. And then, we're coming down straight away because remember he's got a family, and I like these two characters. I think they could obviously they're not the most interesting characters in the film, but it's nice that we cut back.
Yeah,
it's nice that we get an idea that this actually is a missing person.
I mean, the dad
son
is a character actor who's
Tim Thomerson.
Tim Thomerson. That's it. He's been in a lot of things, including if you want a piece of grade A 80s B movie trash, Trances.
Grade A B movie.
I know. I'm patenting that.
It's good.
Trances, wonderful. Plays Jack Deaf in it. Oh God, I can't talk it up enough. Yeah. Really, check it out. Watch it.
I will watch it.
Please drink while you do it, because if you don't enjoy it, you're going to hate me for it, and I want you to love this.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful little film.
This film's going to go into flipping high gear now, man. I tell you, this is going to go really, really good.
You see, I always think with this scene, as aggressive as they're seeming towards him, they're doing this from a point of preservation. They're not doing this because they hate him.
Yeah.
They're doing it because this is the only way they're going to get by, and he's not pulling his weight.
Yeah. He's not. No. I love the way that it's shot, this film, because, as you say, I was saying earlier about, you either watching May, you're watching Caleb in that truck sequence. Honestly, you're just skipping from character to character. They're all doing their own thing. I love the performances. This is you really get the idea this is a proper gang, a proper family, and the fact that she used 3 actors from Aliens, she did that on purpose, to sort of, carry over that a sense of a family.
No, I'm going to interrupt you just for a second here.
This is the best shot, yeah.
Is a fantastic
that is,
shot.
Yeah. That's what's a freeze frame put on your screensaver. I love that shot.
Beautiful.
That is beautiful. And it's weird because you do see it in the next shot. In the next shot, you can see. There they are, right at the top there. That's a great shot.
That's a wonderful way of doing that.
Yeah.
Sorry, you were saying you're right. There's a tightness there because they've been in Aliens together.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it does carry over. And this is it. This is in my top 10 favourite scenes of all time. This is one of them. This whole scene is incredibly good. It's brilliant. I'm going to quickly mention. 1 minute. Shit kicker heaven, yeah, I love that line. No, literally, you know the whole parallels with the Lost Boys. I mean, it's not just the fact they're both vampire films and they're both they came out at the same time. Plot-wise, they're very similar as well.
Yes, they are.
We've got a guy in his late teens with a younger sibling, a single parent, although in the case, there's gender switches and all that, and he's seduced by a female character who invites him into their fold. And then it all comes to a head in this one scene where he finds out just how bad they are. And in The Lost Boys, it's the scene when they're on the beach and, and they...
the one genuinely sort of shocking scene in that.
That's the best scene in that film. But
wonderful.
I love it. But this, and then after that, the two films sort of go off into their own territory. Oh man, Bill Paxton's just legendary in this scene.
I should say here, the guy he's talking to here, sitting at the bar next to him.
I know what you're going to say.
He's actually a very small scene in Terminator 2 as well. He's the guy that Schwarzenegger takes his
he doesn't have good luck in bars.
Yes.
Taylor, man. Yeah, that's terrible. Yeah. Or is it, his cap says something like, I will pass over my gun when you take it out of my cold dead hand, or something like that.
I think I'm sure, whether it's an official thing or not,
it possibly is.
I think it's something to do with the NRA. I think Charlton Heston made a point of saying it, out of my cold dead hands.
Yeah, he says it in Men in Black, doesn't he? At the beginning, and that alien goes, "Your proposal is acceptable," and kills it. I love that. This is, oh god, I wish this scene was like 3 times as long so I could just talk about it even more and more. This is just genius. And he was high as a kite on this scene, Bill Paxton. He'd taken something like painkillers or something.
Yes, that's right.
And he was really wild. And I love the fact that this guy is so thick. This guy's so... It's like, he grabs Caleb and says, keep on hitting him, I want to teach him a few things. He does it. He's like, I guess I will, Apparently, he is on a cable here when he goes back onto the snooker table. You could tell that he's sort of been flung back, but apparently you can see the wire, and I can't see the wire. And I love that little licking of the blood.
It adds to the grottiness of the ball.
And Lance Henriksen's laugh, goes, "Did I do that?" It sounds more like a real laid back. If Cleveland from the Family Guy laughed with Peter's laugh, if he laughed like that, then it would sound just like that. This is so bloody brutal. This scene. This scene got cut out by the BBC a lot when she's flicking the knife, and it cuts out one of the best lines. This bit here when she goes, "Are you nervous? Because I would be if I were you, but then again, I'm not you." And they cut out the "I'm not you" bit, which ruined it. But the whole knife thing, playing with knives, glamorising it, they didn't like that. Oh, even though you don't see it as such, this is tough. That's really tough.
I never liked over there that he's singing and dancing to himself, that he just doesn't care. He's nonsense. It's horrible.
I still have Near Dark on an old VHS copy, and because I never understood what that shot was when I saw it on video, because it was so dark. I thought it was like a sort of disgusting. I thought it was like a flap of skin, sort of, but it's actually him holding the glass underneath her throat so that he can pick up the blood. It's a great soundtrack on it. This is actually Jules Holland singing here. This is Jules Holland as in later with Jules Holland singing his own little song, which kind of makes it even more disturbing, to be honest.
I know, that's very good.
It's really wrong. We had John Parr then just doing his Naughty Naughty song, which is the one that was on the trailer. Terrible. Again, I don't know what it is with the staff and the patrons in this bar. All the other vampires are clearly more dangerous, and yet they keep taking that on Caleb.
Yeah.
Caleb is the one who gets punched. Caleb is the one who's about to get a shotgun to the chest. This is so cruel. This is so cruel. Oh my god, the thing is, this is sadistic, man, because it's like, even...
Well, he's playing with his food, isn't he?
He's playing with his food, exactly. He's playing with his food. I mean, it's some of the characters in this film, some of the victims have not been, like the 2 people who tried to hold up the car, they weren't sympathetic, we're glad they're dead. The guy who tried to help Homer in the bike, he was sympathetic, we don't want him to die. But there's an idea that... I don't know. We're sort of supposed to root for these people's deaths because they're kind of scuzzy and a bit old.
Yeah, as he says, this shit kick of heaven. You sort of imagine that these are the kind of guys that just have nothing in their lives.
Oh, he's just squeezing his head. Oh, that's disgusting. I love the photography, like the neon on Severin's glasses. Yeah, that's brilliant. Oh my god.
I mean, this is extended and brutal.
Yeah, that is really tough. That is really tough. Oh god. And again, a lot of comedy in this scene, you know, like the whole I hate it when they ain't been shaved and all that sort of stuff.
Well, it's almost quite gentle for a second there, isn't it?
It is. This is quite like a... Yeah. This is really... Oh, it's just horrible. There we go. And then he has a little bird, doesn't he?
Mm.
Oh, this song, man. I love this song. This is the cover of Fever by the Cramps.
Yes.
The Cramps are like, you know, such a great band. Yeah, that's disgusting. That shot's brilliant. So, you know, there's some really great lighting shots here. Yeah, you can tell Bill Paxton's hepped up on goofballs there. He's like, you know, I gotta smell like a dead polecat. Kind of Sanders sued for that one there. And that's the idea that vampires stink. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because they would, you know...
here we go. In the end.
Why him? Why him? He didn't do anything. Apparently he got a real kickback when he got shot there. So this voice, when he's going, like, oh shit, and all that, that is his real voice. He's like, as in, he doesn't even fake that voice. He's really winded. Yeah, that's it.
There isn't...
40 miles of rough road. I've used that line so many times.
There is something interesting in the fact that the bartender waits to shoot.
Yeah.
Doesn't try and save any of his patrons.
No.
Waits and then shoots
Oh
them.
no, this is great acting from the bartender. It is in the commentary. He was really method acting this. Like before they went take, he was going and then Bill Paxton and Santa Lance Erickson, we're going to have fun killing this guy. This is, call me sadistic, but this is one of like the best deaths in cinema. This is so mean and nasty.
Well, this is immensely brutal.
Yeah. Oh Jesus! Oh God, that is nasty. There has been some internet debate as to why nobody calls for the police during this whole sequence. If you notice, Lance Henriksen is draped over the public phone.
Yes, he is.
And that's probably the only phone they would have had. That's why this scene would not have worked so well in modern days, because they just get a mobile, wouldn't they? They'd tweet.
Well, it's worth quickly mentioning here that there was a proposed remake of this.
Yes,
which was actually didn't happen in the end because they decided that Twilight was too close to the central idea.
Yeah. But I mean, obviously, tone-wise, very different. But the idea is this is boy meets girl, girl meets boy, or whatever. Oh, it's just, oh man. They are such a mean bunch of bastards in this scene.
I like also is that everybody gets a chance. This is to show Caleb they've each got a chance to kill someone or to lead someone to death.
Yeah.
Now it's May's turn to do it. This.
He looks so spooky.
So although they're angry with him and they want him to do it, it is like a learning experience.
Yeah.
It's saying, look, you're not going to do this on your own. This is what we do.
Yeah.
We do this. Now you do it. You know,
I love this little, this gentle little country song.
I'm so blessed that she wipes her mouth. There's something so lovely about that.
Oh yeah.
That she's still little girlish and conscious enough that she's almost a little cocoitish. She wants him to find her attractive, not not just.
I'd have difficulty running away from her in this scene, to be honest.
Maybe it's because he's the young one. Maybe it's because he hasn't said anything. I really feel for this guy because he doesn't seem scuzzy like the rest.
No, he's just a kid, isn't he, you know.
And he just looks very, very. I mean, look.
I think there's something really, even though she seems more gentle, this is just as cruel as what Severin's doing earlier with that whole, you know, back of your daddy's truck.
Well, the point is also what she's doing here is she's manipulating Caleb.
Yeah.
She's trying to play on his jealousy.
Yeah, exactly.
And you know, I mean, whatever romance does or doesn't exist between them is very dark and twisted.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very much on the whole junkie dependency idea, but you wonder how much of her. It's almost a selfish element. There is a point where we find out that Homer actually turned May because he wanted her, and it becomes later in the film that Homer wants someone because he's an old man trapped in a young person's body.
40s. I mean, they were planning, how old are the vampires? I mean, Jesse was turned during the Civil War. The idea about the Chicago fire in like the 1870s means Severn's probably that old. In the commentary, they talk about Diamondback being from the 40s. She's got a kind of Dust Bowl, she's peroxided her hair to look glamorous, but she's sort of, like a poor girl. And he's, Homer's got, that's William Burroughs, the poet, beat poet, on his t-shirt there. So that dates him probably to the 50s. And I'd say that May is probably the 70s, the 80s, something like that,
I also wonder sometimes, maybe this is just me with Diamondback's hair, I also think, because I heard again she's supposed to be 40s, I always think, is there supposed to be a sort of Bride of Frankenstein style hint with the shock of the hair?
Yeah, totally.
And she's sort of the monster that Caleb, that Jesse created for himself.
Yeah.
That seems to be this hint that each one has created someone, because the idea Jesse probably created her.
Yeah.
And then she created Homer because they wanted a child. Homer created May because he wanted someone back, and now she's created Caleb because she wants someone. There does seem to be this progression that the new person becomes in because eternity is so long. They need to fill that gap, and they need to extend.
When was the View of the Vampire written? Because the whole idea, the cloud
in the 70s.
Right. Okay. So I'm thinking because the whole Homer character being trapped in a body. And
I think an accusation has been made that it was a stealing of that.
Yeah. Well, it's
I know a lot of Anne Rice fans get quite annoyed about it because the Claudia character is very personal to her, because when she wrote the book, I think her daughter had just died of leukemia.
Oh God, okay.
So there was this idea that's why she. There's I've read a few things online where people are quite harsh about that. I think the thing is, yes, it's obviously got the idea from there, but it's such a wonderful idea. Some things I don't think you can own in entirety forever.
No,
You've got to expect that someone else is going to look at that and do something else with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's very different, because although they're both aggressive and they're both children, people who've emotionally grown older in a child's body, he's less obviously sexual in his overtones. She's very obsessed with the beautiful woman, the woman she wants to become, and she's very dangerous. Whereas you get the impression is mean. It's not quite the same thing. The other thing I will give him over her in terms of the film characterizations, obviously she was played by Kirsten Dunst in 1994. One thing I will say here, it always strikes me when I look at Homer, it's like someone took Judd Nelson from The Breakfast Club and made him 15 years younger. It's amazing just how much he looks like
I think
him.
it's because his voice is sort of breaking slightly. I do find his voice quite annoying, little Homer, and so I just love this scene. This is so good, the way the sun is gradually going over the desk, and he has to put his his scarf or something over his hand to get the keys. But doesn't he walk out into the sunlight in a minute here? I don't really get what's going on here. This is a sort of a weird scene.
It's odd, isn't it? Because you've got the slow tension here.
Yeah. I love this line with it, I get through here once every 50 years, make me a reservation, and like a proper little shit-eating grin from there.
You are right, he's clearly stepped into the sunlight there.
I don't know what that's all about, But I do, the Homer character, I just find him a bit whiny, and a bit annoying, and I know some people sort of cheer him at the end when he blows up into flames. It's a bit harsh. He sort of latches onto Sarah a bit too easily there, and sort of.
Well, I think that's obviously playing on the fact that he's emotionally immature, but it's also, he's just, unfortunately, he doesn't get as much screen time as he does. I get that's probably more to do with being a child actor.
Possibly, yeah.
It's going to be a lot more disturbing, especially you're not going to see him slitting throats and. Walking around swearing as much and kicking drinks on the bar and stuff like that. Because that is just going to come across. It's going to come across horrible. Yeah, and it's going to change the tone.
They did judge it right, really. To be honest, I love the fact that Severin sleeps standing up, and the fact that they're all so scuzzy. They're sleeping in some dingy bathroom. This is a very, very far cry away from the whole Dracula's castle. And the whole opulent. Even. The Lost Boys had their own cool little cave and all that. Why does Severin look out into the daylight there? He's like, you should have known better. This is brilliant. Homer's reaction is brilliant. He really, Pull yourself together, old man. I love that. And yet the motherly bit there, I love it. I love their interaction.
It's beautiful, isn't it?
It's really good.
Which is where I get the impression. I think he's very much her.
Oh
turn.
yeah,
I think
absolutely. I don't think Jesse likes Homer very much.
No,
I don't think Severin really likes him either. But there's a bit more camaraderie between. I love the fact he calls him Little Boner instead of Little Homer. And again, the films, because this one thing we haven't talked about is the whole genre mashup thing here. You know, I don't know if mashup was even a term back in the days, but the whole vampire and western thing. And you know, there's a lot of western iconography in the film. You've got tumbleweeds, you've got spurs, you've got horses and lassos and stuff like that. And then this is like a all-out shootout, isn't it? But this is so clever, this whole bit. You know, the fact that the bullets aren't the things that can kill the vampires; it's the rays of light that can do it. Oh, that is brutal, and that's brilliant. That's brilliant. I mean, you can tell why they used a part of that in the UK poster. You know, when I think it is Severin on the front poster, and it's you know, the light streams are coming in and piercing him and making him scream in pain. One thing I forgot to mention earlier, when you were saying about the whole thing that daylight is something to be feared of, the tagline for Near Dark is well, the main one is "Pray for Daylight," which is the one they use in all the posters, but the one in England is was it "Blood is our life, darkness our feeding ground." And something about sunlight is our eternal damnation or something like that. It's such a great little tagline. I love it. But and this is a proper great shootout, you know.
Well,
shit. Sorry,
it's just rare, isn't it, to see it from for want of a better expression, the monster's point of view. That
we're not siding with him here.
Yeah,
we want to escape. Of course, we want to escape.
We're very much in these films always waiting for daylight because we want the main character to be safe. But here, of course, daylight is the thing that's completely and utterly deadly to the main character.
Absolutely.
So it's interesting to see it from that point of view, and it's actually the traditional hero characters, the cops and things like this, who are quite faceless,
and they're a real distraction, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like we don't want them to die, obviously. You know what I mean? But
now this scene always struck me. I like that he does this, but I always sort of wonder why he's so willing to sacrifice himself here. He
really wants to be their friend. He really does. He really wants to be part of them, because like later on, when they all thank him and say you did good and all that, he seems so appreciative. He does. I think, you know, and it's not like he has got friends. Obviously, he's got friends at the start of the film. He's got you know family that loves him. But I don't know. I feel he really wants to belong with these people, even though he is repelled by the things they've done. There is a sense that, you know, like after the scene straight after this, that everything's just fine. You know what I mean?
Yes.
But I think he's totally living in a bubble, because as soon as his family, his real family, arrive on the scene, he realises that no, this is not the right family to be with, because they are willing to just kill
Well, I mean, I suppose in many ways, as much as obviously they're in a shootout and they're killing people, this is probably for him seeing them at their best. They are trying to help each other. They're making a last stand. They're fighting for what they want to be.
Absolutely.
And you're right. He's thrown his lot in with them. I mean, this is the point where it's more obvious to say that he's in love with her. It's not just that he was in lust with her and now he needs her.
No. I think that's all gone now. You know, it's
real. You know, and it's interesting because obviously then his family come in at such a point when he has just accepted this new life. He's obviously,
and they've accepted him.
And then obviously
temporarily, obviously.
it throws in this new element. I like this camaraderie here where Severin, even though he saved them and he's obviously done the right thing, he still waits a few seconds and looks at him a little bit before he says, okay.
I love it. They'll have a little like yoo-hoo in the van. Yeah, this is great. You're siding with them. I think
I also
I'm glad they escaped. He loved it.
You do sort of think there is an element of them that they are down and out because they don't fight. They don't have a lair. They don't have better places to hide. They are just in scuzzy motels. They're all constantly on the move. You get the impression that there is an element that they don't want to stay in one area and kill too many people. Do that. There is a real sadness to them, but also a real sort of solidity to them as well. Yeah, that it's them against the world. That is a great smile. That is a fantastic smile. The Paxton is he is amazing.
You know what I really like though is that when you read about the making of this film, they had such a laugh making it as well. They said it was stressful in that it was like such a tight budget and a tight time frame, but they really went for it, and you know, it's so nice to see all the commentary and the commentary. I love that little look that May gives there. It's like, oh.
I tell you what I also like here, and I mean this would be an indictment if this film were being made now, is that there is never a point in this, except for maybe briefly when we first see Bill Paxton picking up the two girls, there's never a point where they all look perfectly clean. There isn't that idea that vampires are immediately seductive.
Sorry, they don't sparkle. They don't sparkle. Yeah. Sorry, I know I said I wasn't going to mention. It's just little bits like that. I used to hate that at school, where you pretend to shake someone's hand and they style their hair up. I'm like, oh, you little bastard.
There is also, I mean, there's sort of a wonderful. You can almost imagine them as anti-heroes. That you almost want to love them in the way that, how can I put this? There's a roguish or almost a scoundrel-like commenter. You almost in the way that you love Han Solo and The Empire Strikes Back. You know,
and shoots first. You know, I mean, but that whole outlaw thing. I mean, that plays up with the whole Western element. You know what I mean? I think they're seductive, and it's understandable why you like these characters. I love the fact they play Russian roulette. That's so disgusting.
It's very, very odd, and they clearly do heal. And they get better. Yeah. But you get the impression things are still uncomfortable for them. It's still painful. It's interesting that they are. There is an element. I mean, I suppose, is it the case they've been alive for so long and things have been going on for so long? Sometimes they have to almost hurt themselves to feel. I mean, you know, it's that weird thing when you hear that people who drink all the time start doing shots through their eyeballs or stuff like that. You've reached a point of such self-abuse that the only way to feel is
why would Severin just do that thing near the end where he just happily walks into a moving truck? It's insane, isn't it? This is what I like. It's just these little quiet scenes, you know. I mean, you just get to just spend some time with them and all that. There aren't any other vampire films that do this, as far as I'm aware.
Not without, I think, trying to not be pretentious, but trying to really emphasise that this is a scene where you're supposed to emote.
Serious scene, exactly. Oh, Homer is legend there. Actually, I have to say. Did he just flick him a V sign there? I never noticed that. I never noticed that. This is good. I just love this whole bit here where they try and. The thing is, everybody who cheats in card games always do it this way, don't they? They always find it under Short Round and Temple of Doom and all that. Yeah, that little. I just love the way they act around it.
They seem real fun.
I'd say, I mean, The Near Dark is definitely one of the films I've seen the most ever. I mean, I just find it infinitely rewatchable. I can't get enough of it. A lot of it is, just the mood and the characters and just the little ways they talk to each other, and I don't know. I
find it's a very easy film to watch.
It is It's probably the easiest film to watch that has a scene where someone gets their neck snapped with a spur. I love the way that Sarah really, really punches that coat button there, you know what I mean? She means business.
I'd forgotten that those coat buttons used to be so big.
They were huge, weren't they?
What was the deal? Were people just mashing them with their fists, not capable of pushing small buttons?
It said classic Coke on that thing. Was this the time of the new Coke?
I think
Coke
this is
2 or whatever. So they had to, and it wasn't a success, was it? I mean,
I think the idea was they changed Coke completely. They changed the recipe, brought out new Coke, and it was such a disaster. That's why the cans went on to say the original or classic. And, they really had to do a rebranding.
It's the real thing, isn't it? Yeah. Holidays are coming. No, sorry. Why am I singing that?
Really, you shouldn't.
At this time of year, This is
odd. I do wonder. Why is she walking around on her own?
There's a lot of logical flaws in this film. It's true. Would she be doing this? And another thing that some people hate about this film is that daylight really, really shows up quick in this film. We're going to get it in a second. Because think about it, at the very beginning, right? I don't think he lives that far away from home, Caleb. He drives into town at dusk, meets up with May. May gets a lift back to Caleb's farm, right? And then the cockles crowing, and and it's dawn already. You know what I mean? It's like that. Yeah, that seems almost wasn't.
It's
exactly
convenient movie timing. Yes.
Exactly. And in this scene where Sarah opens the door, it's immediately daylight.
I will agree with that.
I don't care. You know what I mean?
One thing I would say, just having been camping a lot and things like that, when you're in open spaces, sunlight can come up damn quick.
Oh,
to be fair, you are right.
I think they're playing a bit. They're playing a bit there.
Well, more to do with the fact that the you'd imagine that this is about 2 o'clock in the morning because the
signal goes
the
off.
TV is actually shutting down.
That's one bit I don't get.
Yeah, so there is an element there.
Isn't it great when you love a film so much that you really...
You buy the logic, don't you?
Yeah, or you don't, or even the flaws. You don't care. And two worlds collide. Yeah, here we go. Look at Homer. He's losing it already. You can tell in the background there. He's losing it.
He is not happy there.
He's jealous. Actually, you know what? I was saying earlier about I can't believe how quickly Homer reacts to Sarah, and I'm feeling it. That's brilliant. I love the way he said she's my sister, and he just sort of goes, and
see. The implication here is that they're going to kill them, and that perhaps they would like him to kill them. I'm interested that they never try and seduce him. They never say, "Pick one and we'll change them."
Yeah,
they can join us.
Interesting theory that they might have picked him to. I love the little the little look at the girl there. He goes, "Time we would have started rotating." But it's interesting the idea that they might have wanted Caleb to kill them, and especially now knowing that they're related.
Well, it would be the ultimate demonstration of loyalty.
Yeah. Jesse is a real shit in this season.
Well, yeah, but this is intriguing here as well because
Homer's losing it.
They allow this scene to play out more than you would imagine. There is, for a second, even an implication that they might let them go.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Oh, Bill Paxton's proper blooming camp. It's quite a campy performance, actually. I have to say. There's a bit in a minute here when. He says, "Watch your pilgrim, watch what side of the bread your butter's on," and stuff like that. And he really is. He's overdoing it badly there, But I think he is like the real vampire of the group, isn't he? He's the one that loves his work, and he is a real, over the top performance. I think you need that because everybody's got their own little role to play here. Diamondback's, the very maternal. Jesse's cool and playing it cool. May's the sort of dreamy, seductive one, and Severin is just like the wild animal, isn't he? He's just like.
Also, I think You only have to look through his career. I think he's best when he's sort of abandoned. I mean, Hudson is obviously in Aliens is a perfect example. He is, whereas they're grumbling grunts and they're annoyed and they don't particularly want to do it. But he is out there.
Yeah,
he is even from the start.
He's beyond saving, basically. Yeah. And this is great. This is Jesse's just been shot, and then that little way he puts it in the fucking is for you. Oh. Crunchy. That hurts. Look at Jesse's fingernails, man. They really are.
See, that's interesting as well because there are implications that they're incredibly strong.
Hey, it's daylight.
See, I don't know. See, that looks like really early morning.
Yeah, but when we get out in the,
it's going to be bright daylight.
It's more or less daylight. Yeah, look at that. It's a flaw. It's a flaw.
Definitely, it's a flaw.
We're going to let it go. I don't care.
But I like the fact they don't overemphasise the fact. Oh, they're vampires, so they must be able to fly. They must be 10 times stronger than other people and things like that.
Well, they are strong.
But it's nice that it's never emphasised.
Well, there is a bit later on though when Bill Paxton says, "Hey, let me give you a hand there," and he chucks him, doesn't he? That's like.
I'm interrupting. Sorry, I sort of meant there's not the scene where they try and seduce him with the look how strong you are, look at all the things you can do. That's very much the Lost Boy way of doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
See, of all the moments, this makes me wince.
That is
horrible.
That is brutal.
Now I know a lot of people who like vampire films but don't like this. They have a real problem with this.
I have no problem with the transfusion sequence. I think that in a film where which is obviously playing down the whole crucifix element and playing on that, there's obviously got to be a way to change people back to life, and I have no problem with this. I mean, obviously, it's usually because like the blood, once it's in you, can it be something that literally gets taken out?
Yeah.
And done like that. Usually in vampire films, the only way to be turned back is to kill the head vampire. That would not have worked in this film at all. That would not have worked. Are there any other usual ways to kill them? I mean, sorry, to turn them back to normal? That's usually the only way, isn't it?
I can't think of...
I'm not sure.
Yeah, I think that's...
the only way to sort of keep them, to return them back to normal is to kill them, and remove the heart and stuff like that, but then you're left with a dead character.
Well, I think what some people are saying, I mean... I think the problem some people have stated
God, he looks rough.
is if new blood into his system would clean him, then what is happening to the blood he's drinking?
Yeah.
I mean, some people have implied that it's more like a venom that the blood that when she bites him.
Ouch! Sorry, I hate
I'm the same as you.
Yeah.
That she's almost like infected him, and that stayed in his bloodstream. Anything else is almost like a consumable, not necessarily going through his stream.
I think it's more of it's just more a symbol in the fact that, you know, this is science. I think science is what this film's about. It's not playing to religion. This is like the least religious vampire film ever made.
I think there's no implication of religion at all.
It's all the vampire thing is a physical thing, and again, it's like drugs. It's basically detoxing him. That's what it is, more or less. And the whole, Bigelow does say in a commentary that the whole idea of transfusing a person, taking a blood, is lifted from Dracula, the Bram Stoker thing.
There is indeed, there is.
So it's actually, by point they're saying, oh, it's not vampire. Well, he's actually taking it from the blimmin' original. Yeah,
because I mean the difference is in Dracula they're giving blood to replace the blood that's being taken from her rather than to turn her. But I know what you mean. I mean, I think it's a weird criticism. I think if you were a vampire fan who didn't particularly like this film, I can see far more that you would criticise, or far more that you would want to change, perhaps in the tone, perhaps the lack of fangs, perhaps the fact that it isn't obviously horror, and that it's much wider than the focus you would expect in a vampire film, than to complain about a transfusion scene. I mean, as you say, if you can accept crucifixes and things like that, I don't see a problem with this.
It's stupid, isn't it? I mean, I think that.
I
think people think it's a cop out as well. They think it's a story, screenwriting cop out. They think it's lazy screenwriting. I don't think it's lazy screenwriting. I think it's quite clever screenwriting, to be honest. I think it's by going back to the original sort of source. It's actually one of the more inventive ways of sort of dealing with this whole vampire problem.
Well, also, I mean, it's the whole idea. He's now gone cold turkey. You've removed it.
Yeah,
he hasn't got.
They don't play on it too much, though, do they? Because he is more or less back to normal. That I assume that obviously this is the night after he's been turned back. That they escape from the vampires, and then when the big action takes place, it's that same night. I mean, there's only one night. I really like this shot. There's some, obviously this is a film about night photography, but there's some really beautiful daytime scenes in this as well. This is dusk in it, more or less, but this chills me, this bit when he says, I'll tell you about it someday, but just don't ask me about it until then. I really like, obviously she's not going to need to ask about it because she's going to get kidnapped, but I really liked that. I just and nice scenes like this, the whole domestic.
Well, I like the fact that it plays back down now, and
I don't know what he was expecting though. Was he really expecting to leave him alone? Once they know where he lives.
Well, I wonder if he's just thinking that they'll cut their losses and go.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's interesting that he's not particularly concerned about May at this point.
No, he could be. We don't know what he's thinking. You know what I mean? But yeah, I know. But he does come back to the surface in a minute when she comes back to see him.
Well, it's almost like he's very much and very quickly accepted that she's something that can't be part of him anymore.
I don't know if it's a problem with the film, but May and Caleb's relationship does sort of go into the background a little bit in the second half of the film, because we're more into the whole gang lifestyle, and we're following the gang, not just May and Caleb. And I think that their relationship is sort of put in the background a little bit, and it takes this scene to sort of bring it back into focus, really, which is a shame. But then, what do you do? I mean, there's so much potential, and you could be sprawling out into every possible direction.
Of course.
What do you do?
This is also.
That's right.
No, please don't.
No, I was saying, this is a beautiful scene. I really love this, and one of my favourite pieces of music by Tangerine Dream. Actually, I really like this bit.
Well, it's interesting here, isn't it? Because he's now trying to keep himself back.
I know, he's scared of her.
And she's sort of back to being seductive. But I also get the impression, watch her reaction when she realises this. She's just as scared of him.
Yeah.
I think, she's sort of betrayed, but she's also...
I find this scene really sad. I don't know. She's a killer. Too far to say. And that little bit there, words can't express it, just going for the hug.
Yeah, it's interesting. What I was going to say a minute ago was, I mean, I know we said we wouldn't dwell on it, but the whole interesting idea about there was going to be a remake, And they very much said that although it would be R-rated, they saw it as a romance between two young people with everything else in the background. I do wonder, I think you would have lost an awful lot.
It. That's what's great about Nidar is that it is a lot of things. It isn't. You never call it a romantic vampire film.
No,
you wouldn't call it just a hardcore vampire film in terms of the brutal violence. It's a bit of everything, really.
Yeah.
And that's what's so amazing. It's just that it does it all so well. When it's you can't see the joins really. I mean, it's like a perfect little, as I say, mashup of different elements. And the fact that it was her first film, Bigelow's first film as a solo director. I mean, bloody hell, and I don't think she's beaten it. I mean, I think her new films like Zero Dark 30 and Kurt Locker, they're really good films.
They're fantastic films.
They're obviously more socially relevant, and then you deal with real issues, and but. I liked it more when she was playing with genres. I like this, and I like it. I love this, and oh, by the way, he is breathing there.
Yes,
he is breathing there. When I was younger, I thought they'd killed her dad, but they haven't. Because I think that's the last time you see him in the film. I don't think you see him at the very end either. No, in the scene in the barn at the end, it's just him and May. Point Break, which is a very silly film, but it's a real adrenaline rush. I love it. And Strange Days, which is really brilliant.
I was forget she did Strange Days.
Yeah. Blue Steel, which is I really have to rewatch that again because I do remember it being just a bit too silly and over the top.
But I really do like Blue Steel. Yeah. I think there's something really nice in that film.
I wish Bigelow would do another genre film. I wish she's so good at them. She's so good at them. And again, we're going to get to see some lovely photography here. Some nice night shots of him. Riding the horse and everything. And again, we're getting more westerny here. He got the hat back on, he got the horse, and it's just this one shot here in a second. I love it. I love the way he just sort of his silhouette walks into, rides into shot, like going down for the big showdown.
Yeah, this is a tip of the hat. I think this is more obvious a tip of the hat to a horror aesthetic, especially that sort of always reminds me a bit of John Carpenter. That scene.
Does look a bit.
I think there's something in of his elements there.
Yeah, very sort of kind of self-consciously going for that could almost be a panel in a comic book, couldn't it?
Yes.
It really is perfectly staged.
I do think, going back to the romance thing, if there is any real romance in this film, I think it's from the director towards her characters. I think there's sometimes people talk about this in horror movies, and I think this is something that Bigelow's done here. I think she loves the monsters.
She does love the monsters.
Yeah, I think...
She likes the night too. I think she's seduced by it all.
I mean, sometimes I think you can do it in characterisation. Yeah. Sometimes you can do it in a single scene. I mean, the obvious one for me...
I'd sell it!
Yeah, the obvious one for me is James Cameron in The Terminator. There's that wonderful moment where the Terminator is repairing himself.
Yeah.
And he stops after he puts the sunglasses on to just smooth his hair up. You can only have that scene if you're in love with the monster.
Exactly. What is an Indian giver, by the way? Because he says, I hate to be an Indian giver, I really do. I think it is the whole idea, because it's in Total Recall as well, when Arnie Schwarzenegger was like, I hate to be the Indian giver. Is it just basically saying, I'm giving you something, I want it back now?
I'm guessing it's to do with the whole idea of all the broken promises towards the Native Americans. That's what I always assumed it was.
This is hilarious. This is probably even though it's some funny scenes, this is the most outright joke in the film, where the guy can't even count, man. You know what I mean? 4. That's it. Oh, that is so comic book. That is the way you just saw, and the little, oh, I'm sorry.
See, you alluded to this before. What is his plan here?
Yeah, this is no plan. The little, he does the little blows the kisses and sort of...
I'm the kind of person that when I see him doing that, I turn the truck round and I drive the other way.
He's crazy, man. He's crazy.
You cannot imagine you're going to kill a guy who is happily just walking towards you like that. It's a very, very odd plan. But he's Bill Paxton. He obviously knows something we don't. Now, I mean, this is gory.
That's disgusting.
It's interesting
Fasten your fucking seatbelt.
Because he doesn't seem to be in pain here.
No, he's not in pain. He was in pain earlier when, the whole like fucking daylight bit, but this does not seem to hurt him. And he is dripping all over the place. We're coming up to the shot now where I swear we see fangs. It's the shot just before Severin dies. He sort of falls back a bit and does a really mad laugh. Although you could say you can almost see fangs, I think, in these little close-ups here. No, you can't, I'm lying. It's this bit here. I swear you see fangs, I swear you do.
It definitely looks like he may have... It could just be Bill Paxton's eye teeth,
yeah,
to be fair.
Could be, yeah. But obviously, that was the early information that paid off, in that, he broke the cab first instead of the trailer, and it's blown up, and the spur's fallen off,
See, I always sort of...
Although I have to really say, I do love the line, first you're going to give me back my spur, and then I'm going to, knock your tonsils out your asshole.
I always sort of expect him to walk out the fire here.
Again, bit Terminator-ish.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah.
He goes, da-da-da-da.
You do.
That would have, honestly, you're
killed,
right. So many other films would have done that, and it would have been shit. It would have been shit. But what I like about it is that you do worry whether he's going to come back or not, because we're lingering too much on this. Why? Is he going to come out? But the only reason we're lingering on it is because they're there. And I do like the line, I taught Severin everything he knew, but not everything I know. I think May's a bit too... especially when... I know she sort of tries to warn Caleb a little bit here when Diamondback's behind him with the knife, but... She's still a bit too readily stopped by Jesse here. I think, let him come back, come on.
Yeah, she's...
It's too late for that,
It's weird here because is she so, it sort of implies that she wants to be with him, but she's too far in to come back.
Yeah, because this is her family,
and yet, obviously, she can walk away from it. It's complex the way it's played.
I used to be also, really baffled by why... After he throws the knife in Jesse's mouth, Diamondback says, go and make a run for it. Let's just clear it up now. She doesn't want to let him go. She's only letting him run away so that Jesse gets a good shot in his back. That's all. That's all it's about. This is some really nice gore here, yeah. There we go. Ouch! 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 Ouch!
That is fantastic.
That is beautiful, yeah. Oh, that's it, yeah. Oh! That is great.
Has there ever been... a sort of character actor who has a more expressive face than Lance Henriksen? It's wonderful, isn't it?
It is weird.
I mean...
I saw his music was really almost like a big... Goes dun, 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 dun. It doesn't fit in with the rest of the movie at all. But I still like it. And we get some great Lance sounds here. I love Lance Henriksen, his voice gets gravelly. He goes, get in the car! He does this in Hard Target.
Oh, gosh! He is a fantastic ham.
I love him. He's pure
wonderful.
ham. He's ham. He's ham with breaded crumb, and he's the whole thing, man.
With all the trimming.
He's the meat feast pizza, man. He's everything. Oh man, I love this main theme here. Not main theme. It's one of the themes from Near Dark when it sort of pickens up. Pace pickens up.
See, now this is always interesting to me as well because I sort of. You know what he's doing. He knows that if he can just run away long enough, the sun will come up and everything.
Yeah.
But it's still an odd plan. He doesn't run into a building or try to hide behind something. He runs through open ground where they're going to be able to see him for a very long time.
This is like in Blackadder when he says we're going to make our move under cover of daylight. It's like it's the last thing they'll be expecting. Oh, beautiful shot. We're coming up to the big ending now. Love that. The way that.
See, it always annoyed me here because I always thought, as much as they're ramshackle, they seem to have a certain amount of pre-planning. There's no planning.
There's no planning there.
Idiotic.
I've read reviews on the net where they're like, every night seems to be a knife edge last minute. It's all a bit of, how did they last this long? You know what I mean?
It is very odd, isn't it? That they seem to very quickly everything falls apart. Now I see.
Homer went for
Yeah.
Sarah there. She wanted to.
I buy what some people have said, that this is enough for May in the end. that actually she almost sees herself in Sarah, and that's why she finally makes the decision.
Yeah, because Homer's obviously going to, go for her again. Yeah.
Well, also the implication is that Homer turns her.
Yeah, exactly. Now the idea is that Homer's really burning up here, and May isn't, which is a bit weird. Some people said, "Oh, May's covering herself with her clothes," but she's not.
No.
She's not. It doesn't make sense. Why would? There's the special effects are all right, aren't they? I mean, they are sort of fake, but they look real. They're good. It's for a low budget film. It's good.
It's what I always call the warmth of real fakery as opposed to computer generated fakery, which I know it doesn't make sense, but it's fake if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
At least he's actually there, and then they've added an effect to it rather than to just put a fake background in and digitally manipulate it.
Yeah, exactly. And we're going to see Homer blow up now. Oh, ow. It's because he does look sorry for him there, doesn't he? Even though...
Well, I mean, I
would feel... Because even though he is an old man and a killer, he's still a child. And this is, I've got to say, this is probably the most sort of downbeat killing of a main vampire ever. I think you are meant to feel sorry for him. Even though you've got Caleb going like, roast and stuff like that, but... They're so sad about it. They're so sad. It's like the trip's over now. She says fun times.
Well, I think they just know, don't they?
They just know. I think it is a sad ending. This is, it's the little elements like that really give it an edge over stuff like Lost Boys, where it is just sort of like, by the end of the Lost Boys, it turned into a complete spectacle.
I think you end up having sort of pathos for the I suppose the villain characters. I mean, it's almost a bit like the end of Blade Runner. Yeah, where Roy Batty. I mean, obviously it's different. He changes.
He realises that the value of life. They just know they're fucked.
But you do feel that it's the same in the terms of the element of sympathy you end up feeling for this character. But just moments later, you're supposed to be afraid of. You're fearing for what they're going to do.
Now some people have sort of said, like Caleb, fair enough, he got changed back because he hadn't killed anybody. But why should May turn back because she's already committed her first kill? I'm like, I'll just shut up. It's as basic it's as simple as this. You're a vampire, you've got vampire blood in you. You have the transfusion, you haven't got vampire blood in you. She's had the transfusion, she's not a vampire anymore. Bush, bash, bosh, that's it.
Well, again, I mean, that plays into the whole idea that it's a sexually transmitted disease and that basically kill the infection and you're not infected anymore. Yeah.
Weird ending, this. I always think this is a weird ending. I'm afraid, don't be, it's just the sun. And it's true, you wouldn't be just sort of happy, would you?
No, you'd imagine it will take her a very long time. I like the idea she's still pale and she's not... Again, I think a new film would instantly have her looking pretty and fine. Yeah. I like that that's not the case. It's interesting that it ends on a freeze frame.
Yeah, I always think that's
and that her face...
is in shot, not hers.
Yeah, he's shrouded away. But she looks frightened. It's almost as if now she's got to deal with the reality of what she's done.
And there's a sequel for you. The interesting sequel where it's life up. The only vampire sequel that has no vampires in it. It's all ex-vampires and how they deal with their regular... Sounds ridiculous, but that's fan fiction all the way there.
Oh God, yeah,
that would be really, really good.
Oh, I would be absolutely amazed if there isn't a fan fiction somewhere about that.
They in the original screenplay. It's quite weird in that Sarah actually ends up getting turned. You find out she's turned. The scene plays out just as it does in the film just there. But Sarah walks out of the barn and like her arm is sort of, burning up a little bit, and then it sort of ends like that. That obviously ends it on a sort of darker note, but I'm really glad they didn't do it because there's no tension there because they could just transfuse her, so it's not a big deal. Yeah. And I think it ends it on just too much of an obvious note, a shocking note. And I don't think that's what this film's about. I love the fact that it ends on such a I think it's bittersweet.
No,
it's really happy, but it's not. It's just so weird because she is a killer. She was a killer. You know what I mean? So
yeah, and the fact that she's not a vampire anymore still isn't going to change the fact that she has killed people.
Exactly, and I think that's nice that you get to think about what these characters' lives are after the film's over, and those are the best kind of films to me. The ones where it's not just a full stop, and you can't imagine a life afterwards because the life because it is like, when they lived happily ever after. Oh, fair enough. You know what I mean? Whereas,
well, I mean, it's not quite as open-ended as that, but again, it's kind of got a little bit of an element at the end of Dawn of the Dead, where you have two characters who still have to deal with the reality of the world. They still have to go on.
Yeah.
They just have got past the immediate problem that we've seen.
Exactly.
I mean, in their situation, everything's still the same. It's just they're going into a different thing. But again, it's the element of the unknown. You've dealt with what's happened, but not everything's all right.
No.
You haven't just clicked your fingers and the world is fine.
No.
And it's again, sunlight is something to fear in that film. There's just no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Everyone is afraid of it.
Yeah.
And I like that she emphasises that at the end. It's important that she does.
I love the fact that the production company is called the Near Dark Joint Venture. It's like the production company only just specifically started up for the movie itself. They probably never did anything else.
Well, I think there's quite a few films that do that, isn't there?
Yeah, the Elm Street Venture.
Yes.
Is always for the Night on Elm Street.
There is one for Teen Wolf. I think. I think it's just called Wolf Kill Productions or something. I guess something along those lines.
Beautiful.
There's a lot of films that do that. It's something to look out for.
Now the film's over. Why couldn't Near Dark be 2 hours? I want to talk about it more. I love Near Dark. Near Dark is I've loved watching this again and again and again. It's the best. I love it. We will do a Lost Voice commentary soon. Fright Night, Vamp, Hunger, all that stuff. We'll do it. But I'll end this commentary now by saying it's the best film ever. Mark, how would you like to end this commentary?
Just by saying it's not the best film ever, but I have loved it.
Best vampire film ever. Best film ever is Blade Runner.